I watch TV. I've seen the commercials.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Tuck Shop Podcast. Hi, David.
Hello, Matthew.
How are you?
I'm as well can be.
Good. Another week. April 1st.
April 1st. It's April Fool's.
April Fool's Day.
One of us is.
We should have. Oh, damn. I'm sorry. I should have thought about this. Not that I'm not. I'm excited about this episode because I love talking about the respiratory care program and stuff because it's just a really cool thing. But we should have got like a Penn State grad for today and just completely done like the Penn State podcast.
No.
We
should have done like, hey, I can't breathe. April Fools.
Don't do that to me.
See that? I was thinking we could do that. That's the first thing came to my mind is we could have done a really. I mean, that's scary stuff, right? When you can't breathe. I would imagine suffocation is probably not a good way to go.
This is the crowd for that joke. Respiratory care instructor and expert in the field, and guy who pretty much died and came back from.
I was going to say, if it isn't the field, we'd find out.
Real good crowd for your stick here, David. No, it's been a good week.
Fine.
We had a great showing for Honors Convocation, a very nice event again. We saw a bunch of our alumni award winners. We gave away almost a little bit over $10,000 in scholarship money.
10. And you know what? I tell you what, it was also I found impressive, surprising, impressive. As I sat and watched some of the other award winners, it was interesting. Some of those award winners had won our award last year.
Yes, yeah.
So you're like, you're kind of like,
people.
Yeah, you're kind of like, hey, we're in good company because it wasn't like we just picked these people. Like, hey, walking down the hallway, you want a scholarship.
Here's some money.
Right. So I was like, that's kind of cool because our standards are one thing, but the standards of some other awards were, the
divisions and
the division awards, you had to have a little bit higher standard. I don't want that to sound bad, but when I heard other names, I was like, that's kind of cool. We're in good company because we weren't the only ones that recognized.
Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 at least that I recognized.
And it seemed more this year than in the past for me, anyhow. Maybe I was just paying more attention.
I think we were very focused last year because it was a very intriguing event, and. This year was also good. We had a nice contingent. We had 3 or 4 of us from the Alumni Association that turned out to support these folks. You're going to do your typical social media roundabout and show everybody and their little stories?
Yeah, we did something different this year. Rather than using my iPhone photos, I have the company that was there taking the video has done our group photos and our individual photos. So once I get those, we'll start putting each day. We'll put a little bio of the 10 individuals that were awarded our scholarship. Kind of gives you a little bit of insight, and it's interesting because they're all juniors coming back as a senior. So you do get this opportunity to watch, like when they graduate. What are their plans after graduation? So it's kind of neat. It's kind of a neat thing. So those will be popping up within the next next week or so.
It's always good. Social media, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Keep an eye on that because you also get a bunch of events we're doing. First up, I think probably, it's 7 days from where this episode's going to air is Professor Skip Glenn's doing his marketing AAF, which is the American Advertisers Group.
That would be
Sorry,
AAG.
Skip. No, they're not a group. They're like I don't know what they are. Anyway, they're doing a marketing American Advertising Federation's
there you go.
D2 Juice event. And it's going to be down in Pittsburgh on Wednesday the 8th at 5:30. Marketing and communication students, alumni, going to show up at the Dog Pen in the Strip District for their turnout. They got a bunch of alumni who are working for companies like the Pirates and the NFL and the PNC Bank to come out and talk about the material. So if you're interested in that, if you're a marketing or communications person who's graduated, you're probably going to get an email from us.
You should have already gotten that email. If you didn't get that email, guess why?
Your contact information is up to date.
So you got to give us your good contact information. So this will primarily be, I know that our email, we marketed it to graduates that were under 32 years of age.
Yes.
But that's not to mean if you're over 32 you couldn't attend this event.
Correct. And I'm gonna have Skip's contact information. We're basically asking if you want to come, just give him a heads up.
And it'll be on our social media.
And it'll be on
also.
our social
Yep,
medias
that's
as
gonna
well.
drop.
So that's kind of cool. Lisa Bellacello's chemistry event is coming up as well,
The
right,
11th.
David? On the 11th.
That's the 11th. Keep following our social media on that. Following right along, we've got the ASCE mixer on the 18th.
Yeah.
That's the engineering for the Mid-Atlantic Student Symposium. Hall of Fame, April 25th. Again, social media. This stuff's all out there. And then we're going to wrap up April with the 30th, the mixer at Roland's in the Strip. So we've already seen some pretty good response to that. So again, it's come down, grab a couple of drinks, grab something to eat,
Yeah.
bring conversation. Wouldn't cost you anything, and it's a good way. It's also a good opportunity to network. I know a lot of alum have businesses that they're looking to get their name out. This is a great way to chat it up.
Yeah.
So, and April 1st is what else, Mr. Cernell, Dr. Cernell?
April 1st?
April 1st is voting time.
Oh, yes. The alumni elections
voting,
is up.
voting time.
So that'll be social media as well.
Yeah, watch for that. We'll also send an email out.
See, when I'm not running, that's
I know.
out
That's,
my
why,
brain.
that's why I bring my calendar. I still have an old-fashioned calendar.
I was thinking about the 17th, where we're also having the Path Forward conference
Correct.
to talk about human trafficking issues all day. Attorney General Dave Sunday's our keynote speaker. Then we got all kind of different educational tracks for people to help learn about and how to prevent human trafficking. So that's available too. Anything I have links for are going to be in the description of the podcast on our social media. So we this, oddly enough, is kind of the quiet week for the rest of until graduation for us.
Correct.
So
Correct. A lot of prep.
a lot of prep.
And then
I
we can
found out-
breathe easy.
No, we can't, because the
We
week
can't
after
breathe easy.
graduation, I found out Skystown spring cleanup. I got work to do. So
I'll
all alumni,
breathe
please
easy.
report to help me do spring cleanup,
I will
including you,
breathe easy.
Wendy. Anything else, David? Or we
No, you don't want to see
calendar
my
out?
personal schedule.
No.
UPJ related, yeah. That's all we got. We got a lot coming up, a lot going on.
Yeah.
Let's hope the weather stays cooperative. We'll be good.
Well, that's all we can
A
hope
little
for.
travel in there. People coming in from out of the area for some of these events.
Sure.
And again, if you don't necessarily live in that Pittsburgh area, if you work in downtown, that Rollins event, you can just walk on up.
Yeah.
So if you're commuting in, from Westmoreland County, which some people do,
Yeah.
to Pittsburgh, doesn't mean you may not have gotten an invite, but that doesn't mean you're not welcome.
On board. It's pretty exciting. Now, we were just talking about game shows before this started.
Yeah, I think it buzzed in. There's
Well-
someone buzzed in.
While David's playing Jeopardy over there, let's welcome Wendy Smith to the show. Wendy, thanks for coming.
Well, thank you for having me. It's super
You
exciting.
represent both the respiratory care department as both a faculty member
Right.
and a client
Yes.
because you are an alum.
Yes. Yeah.
What's your UPJ? How did you come here? Did you always wanted to come here? Did you?
So I'm a local girl, so just about 20 minutes away from Portage. Small high school. Loved being from a small high school. Loved knowing everybody. Was scared to death to go to a big college.
Did you cry? Because we had that conversation this morning too.
No, I didn't cry.
Okay.
I had an interest in healthcare, and I was taking college courses in high school, and I had talked to my teacher, and I said, I want to work in healthcare, but I don't want to be a nurse. And no disrespect, a lot of my friends are nurses. I just can't do some of the things that they do. And he had mentioned respiratory therapy. And there was actually a local lady that worked as a respiratory therapist. And I got to talk to her, got to shadow. And then when looking up programs, he helped me and we found Pitt Johnstown. And it was one of the most reputable programs in the area. Came up, met with Bruce Colbert and Jeff Ankney, and actually fell in love with the campus. It was very close to home. So my first year I was a commuter. Fell so in love with the campus and my commuter room that was in Oak Hall. The residents there actually were so much fun. They welcomed the commuters. I ended up living on campus for my second year through the program in the Living and Learning Center. And then I continued my bachelor's degree. At the time, it was a bachelor's in healthcare. And since then, it's expanded to healthcare management and supervision. So
My commuter room was also in Oak.
yeah, it was fun. I actually met some of my best friends, and then they ended up being roommates because they wanted to also live on campus. So it was fun.
Neat. And that's kind of what we hear, because for those who don't understand, respiratory care is kind of like, and it's not a bad thing, but it's kind of like this own little world upon itself.
Right. A lot of people don't know what a respiratory therapist does. They think
let's
that
start
we're
with that.
nurses, right? So I had a grandmother that was very sick, went through cancer treatments, had lung cancer, was getting breathing treatments. And as a kid, I always just thought it was a nurse that came in. And then learning that respiratory therapists specialize in the cardiopulmonary system. And people think, oh, you just give a breathing treatment like you give to your asthmatic kiddo at home or an inhaler. It goes well beyond that. So we're part of the critical care team. So in a hospital where we respond to all the emergencies from the ICU to the ER, trauma bays, any kind of code or rapid response that's called through the hospital, and RT is part of that team. And we're one of the key people. So if somebody has breathing issues, we help place the artificial airways, run mechanical ventilation, which would, in Gray's Anatomy terms, be life support or the respirator. And then we manage those in the ICU. So we actually are part of the core team that takes care of these patients. And a lot of people didn't know what they were. And fortunately, but unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic happened, which shed some light on us as a career field. And now respiratory therapists are ranked number 4 in healthcare professions. So kind of shed some light. There is a national shortage for respiratory therapists, and we're trying to promote and grow our program and the field because it is a strong need in all of our local hospitals and hospitals across the nation. So
it's certainly something that through my circumstances had to be familiar with. I had a liver transplant about 3 years, actually coming up on 3 years.
Yeah.
So a lot of respiratory kind of experience, like, and I even had some that were coming like, oh, I went to this little school in I'm like in Pittsburgh. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, and
that's kind of awesome.
April is organ donation month. So,
somebody donated.
Yeah, so
Thankfully.
we celebrate those, and I was a big proponent of organ donation, working in the field and part of an organ transplant team in advocacy, and went to actually Core Hospital in Pittsburgh and toured that. And we have a new allied health club here on campus that one of our alumni from the respiratory program is here for his bachelor's degree, did it as an internship project. So he wrote all of the things that are needed and need to be submitted for a new club. And we're actually, our first thing is teaming with SnapJ and working on organ donation month. So that will be one of our first big things that we're doing.
Well, if you
here
want
on
me
campus.
to ever talk, they wouldn't let me stay awake. I wanted to see the process. But to your point, oh no, this was great. I was doing
Oh,
it.
goodness.
Yeah. But the amount of times you don't realize that respiratory care is such a big part of like every one of those steps. They were right there.
Yeah. And thankfully, I've gotten to work with a lot of people that work at the organ donation hospitals and things like that. And being an alumni from the healthcare bachelor's program, I have worked in leadership and know a lot of the local leadership and have a lot of connections out of the Pittsburgh area because I worked for a UPMC facility. So I actually got to see and talk to a lot of those RTs that participate in the organ donation process. So it's kind of amazing what RTs do and that the lack that people don't understand. Any kind of simple surgery, and RT has a step in it and a part of it. So,
I mean, it's pretty important because you have to breathe.
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to breathe properly.
Yeah, you can go a few days without food and water, but you can only go a few minutes without
breathing.
air.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you're
Just an
right,
observation.
Dave. You're
I mean,
very good.
you know, I
It's like,
mean,
man, that humanity, that journalism degree is really paying
I
off.
know, you think
Like,
about it. I mean,
Right.
No, it's
think
true.
about, I mean, the importance of it. I mean, again, I'm not trying to put on other professions, but even in a situation when you're losing blood, and again, I'm not trying to rank like,
right. Yeah.
but you start to think, you're right. How many minutes could you literally go with an
Without air,
obstructed
yeah.
airway?
And we work with all walks of life, right? From neonatal, so preterm infants, all the way up to geriatrics. So one thing that's nice, once you graduate our program, we're an accredited program, you can go on and take your board exams and become a registered respiratory therapist, which is the highest ranking of a respiratory therapist. But then once you earn that registry, you can go on and become specialized in something. So you can become specialized in neonatal and pediatric, adult critical care, sleep disorders, pulmonary function technologists, asthma education. And they're constantly adding specialties where they find the niche where RTs are really needed. And this term specifically, we added a new clinical rotation where our students go out to Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh. And they're actually getting to see a PICU, which is a pediatric ICU. So they get to dabble in peds locally here, but we don't have any ICUs. They usually go to a specialty hospital. And our 11 students have reported back that it's wonderful, and several of them have applied there and have accepted full-time positions at Children's Hospital. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting to see. I didn't get that experience. My first kiddo with an airway on a ventilator was a trauma situation, and it's very high stress. So the fact that they get that, it broadens their horizons and makes them a better RT.
The what's it? You're kind of part of the same club that I get to be, student, now teaching here or working here. What was that like for you, coming back and basically being like, okay, now I get to be on the other side of the desk now?
Yeah, I felt like I never left. I walked into Biddle, which we actually were located in Krebs whenever I went to school here. But I had a lot of I had a lot of classes in Biddle Hall, so it was just like you felt at home. Right. And then walking into the office, it felt kind of weird not to see Bruce and Jeff sitting there. But Jan is still there. So she's the mom of our programs. I always say she keeps us all in line and keeps us sane. But I feel grateful that I can pass on the education that I was taught here, not only just in respiratory care, but even like the real world life problems. So respiratory is a really small knit family, and those students go through a cohort, so they're with them almost every day moving forward, and they turn into like a little, we always say, a dysfunctional family. And they usually most of the time get along. I mean, they have different things, but it's great to be able to just pass on the knowledge that I've experienced clinically working for years before I came back into the teaching world. But I feel like I haven't left. Like, I feel like I just graduated yesterday, but it's been a while. A little while.
The it is a kind of a odd sense, and how you remember being them.
Yeah.
And in this place, that kind of adds a different tilt to it, I think, than people who randomly. And actually, to be fair, David, you're part of this too, because you were as an alum and then coming back. Now you're not in the classroom; you're working. You have an office, and
I may be in the classroom as much now as I was when I went to school here.
That's true.
So,
but you kind of, you know where they're coming from.
similarities.
You know where they're like, if they're stressed out, like you have a little bit of a sympathy with them. Like you were there. You had the 3 major respiratory exams in a week and things like that. So you can understand where their stress level or their concern is, which is, it's not a good thing that you understand in a way, because it's sad that they're stressed, but it's also a good thing because you can kind of empathize with
You
them
don't do
and
the
sympathize.
what I do is you don't realize how good you have it.
Well, I always do.
You guys got a
say-
slide deck. I didn't get a slide deck.
Well,
Here's the
yeah.
book. Suck it up.
Yeah, we didn't have a laptop. It was tethered in internet. Like, we couldn't bring a laptop wirelessly.
How much
to
has
class.
it changed, though?
So
I mean, let me
respiratory.
just ask,
has-
so you graduated in what year?
So I graduated the respiratory program in 2012.
Okay, but with technology, has it changed a lot?
I would say, technology in the classroom, or
In the
are you
industry,
meaning in
I mean,
the
you've
Your
got
field?
field.
Yeah,
Your-
in your
is-
field.
Yeah. So, ventilators and things like that, like, as computers and everything, technology is improving. So are ventilators. They're like a big computer on a stand that breathes for you. And one thing we're grateful for is we have some of the high-end ventilators that were donated to us or were purchased by the university that align with what's out in clinical practice now. And up until about a month ago, I was still practicing out in the field, so I stay up on it. But we are constantly out on the clinical site. So Stacy Huffman, who's our director of clinical education,
Stacy's been on the show before.
she is also an alumni from the program. She's constantly out. She puts her scrubs on and she goes and visits our students out clinically. And she's seeing all the up-to-date technology. Her and I attend several lectures with physicians, so pulmonologists, and even sales reps that offer us to come and learn about new products so that our students have like the edge of the new technology that's coming out. So it is nice.
But has it
keep up
changed
in
a lot? I guess let me kind of rephrase that question. With the technology that, and I think this related, like, I never even knew what a pulse.
Oh, a pulse oximeter.
Yeah, like I didn't even know what one of those were. And then, like, after COVID, like, here, try this. And you're like, oh, this.
Yeah.
I mean, does it do? So I guess my question is with that technology, how has it changed? You know, we're also in a world where you watch a commercial that says, "Ask your doctor if this is right for you,"
Right.
whether it be a prescription or technology or whatever. How has that changed?
So I think
field.
like altogether, respiratory care hasn't changed.
Okay,
I mean, we've learned new things about it. We have better technologies and better pieces of equipment. I do think technology-wise for the patients at home, right? They have the adaptability to have smaller pulse oximeters that could be at home at the bedside, CPAP machines, the knowledge behind CPAPs and BiPAP machines. Now, if you talk, everybody has one, or you know at least one person that has one. And I watched this TikTok, it was funny, of somebody that was like in an airport getting ready to travel, and they're like, let's count how many CPAP machines are being carried onto the plane. And there were so many that they just panned around. But technology has gotten better.
but even with the CPAP, and I'm not that I'm all that familiar with it, but I watch TV. I've seen the commercials.
Yeah.
Isn't there now even like an implant?
Yeah, and I
I mean,
mean,
it's gone that far in such a short amount of time.
yes, and that's just depending on your type of sleep
Yeah,
apnea,
right.
right? So we have like central sleep apnea, and then you have obstructive sleep apnea. So the implant isn't for everybody,
Okay.
right? Based on
But
your
we've
type
gone
of
to
sleep
that
apnea.
point where it's
Yeah.
no longer like, wow, we've gone.
Yep. And they've even gone with like different like oral surgeries that help with obstruction and different style masks.
Right,
Like
soft
it used
mat,
to
right,
be
yeah.
like your full face. Now it can just be your nose. It can just be your mouth. Smaller machines that are easier to travel with. Different things like that.
It's a kind of an amazing field that I like to at least once. Like, that's what I told you when I sent you the email. Like at least once a year, I like to have this conversation about.
Yeah.
Because it tends not to be thought of that much in the sense of how much it really does. It's like my only little way of trying to help.
Yeah, no, and we appreciate
But
it.
it's so really neat and certainly to come back and be there with that team, because that's been such a critical team for so long.
Yeah, and I always tease my students. So I teach respiratory pharmacology, and the book that we teach out of was written by Bruce Colbert.
Yep.
And I always say to them, you think that I am hard on you guys? Try taking this class by the guy who wrote the book. Like, he knew the ins and outs and everything about it. He wrote the book. But we laugh about it. And I constantly reference back to my instructors, even my anatomy and phys instructors that aren't here. And I had Dr. Bell for Chem for the health profession. So I had a nice conversation with her about the students and where they've come from that course alone, which is awesome to have that relatability. If I weren't from this university, it would be kind of hard to relate to where they're at and the professors that are still here or the courses that they have to take. So
it's always special, and especially because like it's just funny how you and I mirror so much because I'll do the same thing. Well,
Yeah.
you guys, you think I'm hard at this class? You should have taken it when I had to take it.
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
And they laugh at me because like when we took our board exams, you weren't allowed a calculator. And now
Really?
You were not allowed a calculator. So we had to do everything math, but like long form. And they taught you like shortcuts to help you like be able to ease through it and how to use different numbers and things like that. But now they get a calculator, and for their boards, they get a calculator. So in the program, we let them use a calculator because they get it. And they're complaining about math. And this is awful. There's a lot of equations. And I said, do you know why I always ask you to show your work? And they're like, why? We use a calculator. And I said, because I wasn't allowed to use a calculator.
If I suffered, you suffer.
And I tell them, I was like, and I can see where you're going wrong. But that stuff has evolved, which is, I think, for the better for our students, right? Because technology is more prevalent in their life than it ever was in mine. Social media was new. Snapchat didn't exist. The internet on campus, we still tethered into the wall and things like that. So you didn't have your laptop in class. Like AI wasn't a thing. iPads were barely a thing then.
Yeah.
Like they were out there, but they were so expensive. No college kid had them. So now they all have their iPads and they have the slide decks pulled up and they're taking notes and they're on the wireless internet. So
Are you also disassociating a little bit, David? Because this is 2012 she's talking about, and I'm like, I was out like 7 years at this point. I'm like, oh no, iPads were like, and I'm like, no, wait, okay, but that was like 4 days ago, right? And it's like, no, it's been a long.
I mean, but a lot of this technology just changes so quickly.
it is. It's
And
like,
I'll still contend, there was a point where technology kind of just slugged along, and then it just, like we talked, was it the microchip? Was it this? Was the technology where it went from? And I think there's something to be said, for the how to use a calculator, how to fill things, with a longhand. But then again, you're in a world where I can remember getting probably my second computer, my first home computer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that you got out of college and you bought a computer at home. And I sat there, and even to this day, there were things on it I never used because I wasn't up on the technology of like, do you know what I mean? And I think it's a little different in your field because if you're not up on the technology, that's life or death.
I always say we want to see the long form of things, and we have to still know how to do those calculations, even though ventilators are smart, right? They're computers, but technology isn't always smart, we always say. But if one thing the COVID-19 pandemic taught us is supply loss, right? So there were so many people that needed a ventilator. They pulled the old ventilators out of the archives, right? And I was lucky enough to work for UPMC at the time, so they have a large quantity of ventilators that they pulled. We had some shipped from Pittsburgh to Altoona and things like that, but we had to go back to calculate in certain things because it wasn't a ventilator that could calculate it on its own just by the numbers we placed in there. So if I didn't have that knowledge from school, I wouldn't have been able to manage my patients the way that I was supposed to. And the lack of not having equipment and things like that, it went back to like troubleshooting, doing things the way that the old school way that we were kind of taught both at the time, whenever obviously things were more advanced from whenever Bruce was an RT to whenever I was starting RT, and that's how it is now. But you have to kind of keep in mind, and I always relate back to the pandemic to them, and I know they're probably sick of hearing about it, but there were supply shortages and ventilator shortages and things like that. And you had to be able to calculate. If your physician wanted to know that value, you needed to be able to give it to them. So,
and you can say, believe me, I mean, we all lived through the pandemic. And you can say, well, that's a once in a lifetime event, or is it?
I hope.
You know what I mean? But
hope
it
is,
really.
but you never know.
Yeah, I just thought just the other day, that was what, like almost 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that was by anybody's life standard, that's a chunk. That's not
Right. And
90 days.
I always say that I was only working casual. So, I mean, it was horrible for me, but I feel for the RTs that were working full time. I mean, I just had a baby and all of that. Like, that was an experience in itself. So, having those RTs that I know, and some of them are my really good friends, and I know people that have quit the healthcare field altogether, or they retired early because of what they've seen and gone through in that pandemic. So we're kind of, healthcare in general is trying to build back from that crazy time. And it still affects people, and we still see COVID-19. We just know a little bit more about it. So
it's a lot to it, and but we got a great program here to help out.
And I always say I have been a respiratory therapist for 14 years now, going on 15 years, and I haven't ever regretted it one day. And I appreciate my bachelor's degree, and the university was great in accepting transfer credits from high school. So I got through my bachelor's program in a year.
Oh, wow.
So I finished a year earlier. So I finished in 2013 with my bachelor's, and then it gave me great opportunity to work in management, and I was an educator in the hospital. So I educated staff on new equipment and things like that, and then moved into just a clinical supervisor of multiple departments. But our program, I will say, being from that management world, has a lot of respect out there, and a lot of the local leadership are alumni out of our program and are willing to come back and help our students and get them what they need, or get us equipment to make sure that they're up to date on the technologies and all of that kind of stuff. So our program has a good reputation per se, and then we're leading into the Pittsburgh area, going out to Children's Hospital. We go to UPMC East, so we're kind of spreading the word of our program all over the place. So,
well, hopefully, not only does this get a good chance to do that and help you out, but it's also great to talk to you as an alum.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure being here.
Other than that, I think because I know you got a class coming up pretty quickly.
I
do. So we're going to let Wendy go, and we're going to let everyone else go on this April 1st, or whenever
not.
you're
April
listening.
Fools.
And we will talk to you all next week. The Tuck Shop podcast is recorded live on the University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown campus. Update your contact information with us by visiting johnstown.pitt.edu/alumni. Connect with us online via Facebook and LinkedIn, or consider donating to the university at give2, that's giveto.pitt.edu/giveupj.
This has been a production of Quantum Wave Media. Views expressed do not necessarily reflect the opinion of the University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown.